Bonjour. Aloha. We hope you are doing most well. We're going to dive into a little bit of Beatles, a little bit of Adorno. We're going to go back in time. We're going to... It's funny, John and Paul, I hadn't even... Oh my goodness, thought of that part. I was more looking at the disappearance, the kidnapping of children by the Pied Piper. I hadn't even realized until I started filming the John and Paul Day. A musician, a piper dressed in all kinds of colors. Dressed in all kinds of colors. Theodore Adorno. I was thinking about him and about the Pied Piper. And when I typed in Theodore Adorno Pied Piper, it came up. It's wild, isn't it? But he knew, and we will get to that. Here again, in the year 1284, on the day of John and Paul, on the 26th of June, 130 children born in Hamlin were led away by a piper, dressed in many colored clothes. Now this could be metaphor. There's a lot of metaphor, but there are three different things in that town that really have led people to realize that there was a horrible tragedy there. The town records start with this event, chronicling in 1384, "It has been 100 years since our children left us." And in that town, they use that date in everything that they do, right after the regular dates that we use. There have been smashed things that were put back together from antiquity back then. And when they put it together, it showed it was a stained glass of this mysterious figure who was able to, it's a creepy story. You know, this guy came in the morning, and I thought this was bizarre. I'm looking up Adorno, and he's going into Hitler's philosophy of music. I don't think most of us really go there with Hitler, although he was a big fan of Wagner, wasn't he? He talked about, I guess, that music can be the greatest animator of feelings, but it doesn't satisfy the intellect somehow. Then here is Adorno, all right? This is one of his books, and I wish I could just read it out loud to you. It's so incredible. If atomized listening means progressive decomposition for the higher music, there is nothing more to decompose in the lower music. The forms of hit songs are so strictly standardized down to the number of beats that no specific form appears. And what he talks about in the half dusk of its familiarity is that the person ends up liquidating themselves or becoming liquidated by, and it's interesting this what I'm reading here, and it's about fetish character in music and the regression of listening to certain music. And he starts off talking about Plato and how Plato was really concerned about certain types of music that could and it's interesting. So it's not just a new thing. He was concerned about just banal or music that just made you sad for no reason. Plato just had no use for it. This is in Hamlin. This is a statue of the Pied Piper who just, came in, literally just appeared and took the children. Here we are. Shall we see? Shall we find Hamlin? There's Hamlin. There it is. You're not even allowed to play music on the street that the children, the last street they were on when they disappeared. It's like people there are still heartbroken. And it doesn't, and like I said, it could be metaphor. I think there are other, in Ireland, you've got St. Patrick, and there's a little bit, but this really does seem to be that this guy came in. It was kind of a boring, dreary town, here this guy comes in, he looks like the Grateful Dead, and, the children are all, they're taken away, and, my goodness. So, I hope that we can kind of get back to more of this. And I found a funny channel that had smooth, easy listening of the Beatles, which I thought, Adorno, wouldn't he love that? I'm gonna put this in. Someone else did it, but it's just, I remembered, my father only had one part in a play, I think, his whole life. He played the little boy running from the Mountain King, in the Hall of the Mountain King. And I guess that is sort of based on these poor children. Where were they led? They were never seen again. And some feel they were taken to mines. There was a castle north of there, and there were mines. I think that at some point a lot of bones were found within a mountain. So I don't know, this reminds me of my dad, and he was 5 when he was in the play, and he said it was terrifying. He's running around in the dark with these the creepy Mountain King. It's no wonder why he didn't want to do anything else after that. He ended his career, at 5. Wow. It's really intense, terrifying. And we kind of see the Pied Piper as this weird, hypnotic, seductive betrayer. And that's really where Adorno sort of came in. He really felt that a lot of the new music that was coming out, and I think even new music from the 20s, he's talking about Jitterbug. He's, but once again, Plato was talking about this, a kind of banal music that was going on back in his day, shall we say. So we've got a lot of sort of interesting fat to chew on here. Someone came in and they talk about, and there some say that there was a weird thing about certain tones that could sort of seduce rats. Look at that Mountain King. That is so scary. So we've got like a lot of interesting ground to cover, and I'm sorry I'm sort of doing this right now like without knowing enough about it, but I think it was so exciting to see that there was this connection and between the Pied Piper and the Beatles and this really deep, and Adorno's going into Wagner, he's going into the magic flute, of course, and Pan, who was sort of a devilish figure with his flute. So we're getting a lot going on here, and look at that, like this, there's the Pied Piper is there, the liquidation of the individual who has just succumbed to God knows what, to just pure emotion. Many blessings.